Welcome back to the closing table. This is episode number 74. Today, we're going to discover that being a successful realtor isn't a one-size business model. Right after this.
Welcome to the closing table with host Tamera Gaede, where we break down how to be successful in real estate and what it's really like to work in the real estate business. This is the closing table with Lawyer's Title.
So today's guest, I have Joe Atkins. He's the broker owner of Joe Atkins Realty, and a lot of you will know his name. He's been in the business for a minute. We're going to talk about that today. And then also we have his vice president, Tommy Wooten of Joe Atkins Realty. Also, we're going to talk about, we're actually doing a dry run here for a class that we're going to do on June 27th at 10 o'clock at Granite Park. So you're going to want to make sure to register for that class. It's called The Dinosaur versus the Techie, Exploring Narratives to Real Estate Success. And I had to clear it through Joe that he was okay being called a dinosaur first. I've asked him actually multiple times, but welcome to the show, Joe and Tommy. Thank you for being my guest. You're a returning guest, so I'm glad you're back. And Joe, thank you for joining us today. I'm excited to explore our topic here today and see what we can come up with. I like the compare and contrast. You know, we're going to do a lot of that. So let's dig into some questions. Okay. First, why don't you let's do a little background, right? Let's talk about how long you've been in the business, and then do you want to disclose your age?
Tommy
wanted to say what year you were born, and so
no, we're not going down that path.
Just accept it.
We're not going down that path.
Maybe how long have you been in the business?
Or you could tell us what year you graduated high school and let us figure it out.
Yeah, great.
Why don't we stick to how long I've been in the business?
How long you've been in the business? Okay.
So I'm in year 18.
Okay.
And 18 years.
Well, and also you come from a real estate family.
I do. My father was a broker. One of the first black agents in the DFW area. I think he got licensed in 1956.
Wow.
Jeez.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
God rest his soul.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, okay, Tommy, what about you? How long have you want to tell everybody how long you've been in the business?
Yeah. I got into real estate in 2010.
Okay.
And here we are 14 years later.
But there is a little bit of an age difference here. That's the part of what brought up our topic.
How old were you when you got in?
Differences in how you run your business because of when you came in or what you've embraced since you've been here.
Real estate has always been, in my mind, an older. I think when I got in the business, they said the average age of a realtor was about 58.
Yeah, I think it's 52, 53, 54, something like that. Yeah.
So I would assume that number's gone down from when I got into now. This kind of goes into what we're talking about. It seems like, in general, real estate is getting younger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tommy, you came in. How old were you when you came in the biz?
I think I was 28 or 29.
Okay.
That's about.
Well, we had another realtor in our leadership class that was
much younger.
He came in when he was 18.
Correct.
And
Subi, right?
There was like your Subi.
Justin Levitch.
Levitch was young. He was in his early 20s.
Sure.
Skylar.
Yeah, Skylar's young.
One of the youngest, yeah.
She's 10 years younger than me, and she got in her, I would say, early 20s, like right out of college, 22, 23 or something like that.
So, yeah, a lot of younger people have been coming in the business.
Sure.
I have a junior rep now. Her name's Phoebe. You've met her before.
Mm-hmm.
And she's attracting a lot of the younger realtors to her, because she's younger. She's 24, I think. 24. Anyway. Okay, so we now know from our conversation so far who is the dinosaur and who is the techie. So we're going to explore that a little bit here today. Let's start with, what is your daily schedule like? Joe, do you want to, I know things are different day to day. Real estate's never the same thing, but just kind of in general, what is your daily schedule like?
I'm a very regimented person, so I don't like just going into a day blind. I usually kind of plan out my day the evening before.
Okay.
And I hate wasting time. That to me is the biggest thing I see. I mean, if we want to start, like, that's the biggest difference I see right now between dinosaurs like me and the techie younger agents.
How so?
I think just the more you get older, you realize every minute of the day is valuable, and the older you get, the days go by faster, and you just realize, like, I mean, I got 2 kids. I can't waste time.
Sure.
Because I wouldn't say I have set work hours, but I have set hours that I plan to be the most productive. And then after that, I dedicate to my family. So, the window of time I have, I try to use as productive as possible. And I think a lot of younger people either don't have kids, families, so they're just kind of, free flowing, oh, let me see what the day has. And then they probably, and I know this from talking to
time blocking is a foreign concept to some.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But I know this from talking to younger agents that are, like, oh, they look up and it's 2:00. And I'm like, well, what have you done today?
Well, I had some coffee.
I mean, I don't think I'm wrong.
Well, but I don't think Tommy's a good example to
no.
Opposite point for that,
Sure,
because
sure.
He is married and he does have family,
Sure.
and he runs really tight with and regimented with what he does also. But I do understand.
I'm saying
your
I'm
point.
speaking
Yeah.
more to the 5 years and in, probably 35 and younger clientele of agents.
But do you also wonder if they just aren't in a place that is helping them get off the ground? Do you see maybe that being a little bit of a broker responsibility too?
It's a big broker responsibility.
I think the biggest issue I would say from that is you can lead somebody to water, but you can't make them drink.
100%.
So I think a lot of times people get the roadmap laid out for them.
Okay.
I mean, I lay out the roadmap for all our agents. I have agents out of other brokerages that come to me asking for advice, and I'm willing to help anybody.
Right.
But I think at the end of the day, it takes you to get off the couch, go to work, put in the effort, make the calls, emails, text, whatever you need to do to get in front of people.
So kind of going back to your daily schedule. So you do, I mean, you told me on the before we started recording that you live and die by your calendar on your phone, right?
If it's not on my calendar, it didn't happen.
It ain't happening. I feel the same way. So you get up in the morning. What time you get up?
Typically 6:00.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you get going with your real estate business about what time?
When does that first text go out?
6 a.m. When you get out?
No. I mean, I usually try not to message anybody business-wise before 8.
That makes sense.
A lot of it's just emails, that kind of stuff, while I'm trying to help get my kids prepared
Sure.
to school. And then I actually usually get them to school, go work out. If I don't work out before, I'll work out right after dropping them off. And I'd say my typical work day tries to start around 9:30, 9:45.
And what time do you wrap up typically?
5:00.
Okay.
Really?
What about you, Tommy? What is different about what Joe does that you do?
Well, I have the pleasure of knowing Joe and his wife Charity, and I know that Charity, I've heard her say a number of times, from the time that Joe leaves the house to the time that he comes home, he's on his phone. Mm-hmm. And there are real estate conversations that you're probably having most of the day, and intentional conversations, either to follow up on transactions or just kind of ushering, whether you know it or not, a lot of our viewers, every conversation you have with somebody is ushering them along a path to their next purchase or sale.
Sure.
Right? I mean, I think there was a statistic that said when you get a new lead, it takes 6 conversations before they are actually under contract. Mm-hmm. And if we don't know that, that's fine. But one thing I know about Joe, even though he may not have known that statistic, he's constantly on the phone talking to either friends, past clients, potential new clients, referrals, this, that, or the other. And, you You play golf with them. You see them at the country club. You see, like, Joe is just on that sort of thing. Whereas with me, I wake up and I start creating content. I'm
What
a
time?
digital content creator. I start at 8:15, 8:30.
Okay. And how long do you content create for?
3 to 4 hours.
Okay. And then what do you do after that?
Follow up with leads.
Okay. And then what time do you wrap up for the day?
I have to.
Ish.
There's
just an ish.
Yeah, I mean, I would say 5.
Okay, so you both the similarity is that you both you both work kind of normal business hours during the week for your real estate business, but what you're doing within that time frame is very different. You're doing a lot of relationship management, okay, and you're doing a lot of online social media work. Right? So your leads are naturally going to come from two different places. You're going to be a more sphere-based, relationship-based realtor, and you're going to be an online lead generating realtor. I mean, I'm not saying you don't have sphere. I'm just saying,
No.
Tell me, okay, so when your YouTube channel, you told me last year you got how much business, how much of your business, what percentage was off of your YouTube leads?
90%.
Yeah, that's huge. Okay. And then Joe, how much of your business is off social media leads?
0.
There we go. That's what I was trying to get. We're going to get there. Okay. I'm going to get it out of y'all.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the big difference is you're a sphere-based realtor. You're going to do the tried and true ways of building a real estate business that have always been done.
Sure.
Tommy, you've embraced the online model for generating leads in a huge way, right? So that's your big difference in where your business comes from. So then moving on to kind of, Tommy touched on this and we kind of got that out, is that he does most of his social media work and then you don't do anything off of social media. Do you have a social media presence at all?
Yeah. I guess I should rephrase that.
Okay.
We do a lot on social media as far as
Joe Atkins Realty. You too.
Personally, I mean,
Okay.
I'm gonna just say I use Facebook and Instagram. I mean,
Got it.
And that's, so we're posting coming soons, listings, closings, all that kind of stuff. But I'm not trying to attract random business from that. I'm just staying in front of my sphere.
Understood.
So, I mean, again, I don't think that my business is coming from some random person. It's people that are just seeing me through social media that already know me, but I'm staying top of mind. And I think that's what most people in real estate always forget. There's a lot of realtors in DFW, so you have to stay top of mind.
Absolutely.
Or you become irrelevant.
Correct.
Well, and that's one of your touch points, right?
Yes.
So there should be, with a sphere-based realtor, a touch point plan to stay top of mind. Because top of mind, I do the same thing,
Sure.
right? I have all my clients categorized. I have tasks set up of when I'm going to follow up with them. I'm going to make sure that I give them items of value throughout the year, things that they could use to go bigger, better, and faster,
Sure.
right? So you're doing the same thing. I've kind of moved a little bit into Tommy's world, not a whole lot, but enough
Sure.
that I'm starting to generate leads. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because up until that point, social media was simply top of mind with my sphere, right? So you're using that as one of your touches in an overall touch plan with your clients for your sphere.
Sure.
Have you generated a lead off social media ever?
Oh, for sure. But I mean, what I've always found for me personally is when I have a connection to somebody, whether it's somebody I personally know or somebody that's referred to me, there's some kind of connection. The transaction with me and the client usually goes better versus someone that's completely blind, because I feel there's already a trust factor built, because they're like, well, we know you, or our friend referred us to you.
Sure.
Or, yeah, our neighbor down the street said you sold their house, and, we live on the street, same street, so we like you to sell. Like, there's some kind of connection, and it just, I always have a saying, and Tommy knows this, like, I like to work with people that I can see myself being friends with for a lifetime. Because I don't just look at doing a deal as one transaction. It's with people that I want to do transactions over their lifetime.
Well, but I think Tommy's hoping for the same thing with his lead. It's just lead capture, right? But then you're establishing a relationship with that person. You put them in your database and you keep nurturing it, right?
Right.
Even after the sale. So it's just a different way to capture the initial contact out the door. But let me ask you, Joe. So do you have, I mean, because what's going to happen with the referral statistics show that they're going to go and Google you, right? Someone's going to give your name to that person.
Sure.
And what does everybody do? They start Googling.
Yeah.
Who is Joe Atkins?
Yeah.
So do you have a Google business page where people can post reviews?
I think I do. Tommy, do I have one?
Yeah. The company does, yeah.
I mean, we do, yeah. Hey,
But do you have one?
Probably not.
I mean, you are Joe Atkins Realty.
right,
so
right.
It's easy to find
Yeah.
because when you type in Joe Atkins on Google,
Joe Atkins Realty.
Joe Atkins Realty pops up.
Well, I think it would be an interesting study to Google yourself and see what comes up.
Oh, I have. Trust me, because I have a Google alert set. So anytime, because there's a state senator in Minnesota. So typically when I get the alert, it's either me or him that is being talked about somewhere.
Understood. Okay. Yeah, I get that. So do you think, I mean, because the things that you mentioned that you're posting on social media are pretty typical for a realtor.
Sure.
Coming soon, I won this award, just closed, pending, whatever it is, right? You're using that to stay top of mind. But are you, Joe Atkins, producing any video content at all?
No.
Do you see that as a detriment to your business in some way?
No, I don't. I mean,
Okay.
That's freaking awesome.
No.
Stand your ground.
I mean, I really don't like that you said that because most of my podcast is trying to encourage people to do video on social media. So this is really counterproductive for my podcast. But hey, man, you got to be real about
But
it.
that's the thing. The success, that's why we have the class, is so people know Joe's production. I mean, we haven't talked about what he
Do you wanna
produces
say,
every year.
What was your total production in
last
2023?
year,
Yeah.
I think close to 30 million.
Okay.
Yeah. So that success is not a one size fits all business model.
What about you, Tommy?
15 mil.
Okay.
Now, how about that? Like, there's the big difference right there.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, but also he's been doing it a little bit longer
Right.
than
This
you
is
and has an incredibly established database,
This is
right?
true.
And I think it is more challenging or at least there's a longer landing strip
Yeah.
to generating leads off social media versus tapping into your sphere.
So I found, I'll never forget asking Joe when I was calling him about a listing appointment that I had. This was years ago. And I was like, I'm up against these realtors. There's a couple of them I know because I was mentioned in a Facebook post. Someone's like, hey, I'm looking for a realtor. You know
Yeah,
those,
yeah.
right? I'm looking for a realtor. And I got tagged. And so I show up to the listing appointment and I know I'm up against a couple other realtors. And I turn around and I ask Joe, I'm like, how many times have you been in this situation where you've been up against another realtor? And what did he say? What did you say,
None
Joe?
times.
He was
Not none, but not many.
Not many.
Almost-
Well, but that is a difference
Sure.
also
Huge.
from where your leads come from versus where, I mean, because the people already trust you because
Right.
they got referred by a trusted friend of theirs.
Sure.
People are finding you on social media and they're like, we don't know
We
this.
don't know this person.
Yeah, we don't know this person.
Exactly. So again, there's two different ways to go about this, and it's freaking amazing.
Well, okay, wait a minute. I want to spin this question to you.
Yeah.
Do you think it's, I don't want to say detriment because I don't think that's the right word. Do you, hold on, I got to think about this question. Because you focus on leads online and they're harder to get, you obviously still see value in it because the majority of your business came from online leads. But I guess what I'm trying to ask is maybe, do you think it would be easier to be just a sphere? I don't mean just, be focused on sphere-based business as opposed to what you're doing? Because it's a lot of work.
Yes, there are absolutely attributes of that type of realtor that gets 60-70% of their closes through their sphere that I wish I had in my business model. You would think that someone like me who loves people, picks up the phone, I talk to my friends and family, past clients or whatever, would get more business like that. And that is something that, I enjoy. I enjoy working with past clients and friends and family. But for some of us, it's just easier to wake up and create a video.
Okay. Most people find that incredibly difficult.
As I say it out loud, like, it doesn't even sound insane to me.
Yeah.
But for some people, they're like, you think it's easier to create a video than pick up the phone and talk to people.
I'm not surprised by that answer, though, because a lot of people have difficulty picking up the phone, and how many people answer these days, right? So you're having to get incredibly creative to even make contact with somebody on this thing who's probably looking at it when whatever you do comes through.
And we're gonna deep dive into that in the class.
Okay.
That's one of my big pet peeves, as Tommy knows.
Well, wait, the phone?
Hold on.
The lack of using the
The
phone.
lack of using the phone.
Yeah.
Okay. And in what way? Expand. In what way?
And I'm not referring to Tommy. I'm
Are you
referring
talking about-
to just younger, more tech savvy agents that
Don't want to
don't
pick up
want
the phone.
don't want to pick up the phone.
They don't want to dial for, we call it dial in for dollars.
Well, they don't want to do that, and
and they don't want to text, and they don't want
and they don't want to
text.
talk to you when you're the agent on the other side.
Oh,
They want it all
yeah.
to be,
That's big. I mean, there's big conversations that happen within the frame of a transaction.
all the time.
And some of which are, not just we're not just talking about option, trying to negotiate option fee, but things that are literally costing a buyer or a seller thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars. And even I'll admit this, like, yeah, if we're talking about something that's that much money, can we not text about it? Can I hear your voice so I can make sure that there is nothing lost in translation here? So I get that. There's a lot of agents that, and when we coach them up, when I coach them up, I'm like, you want to pick up the phone and
That's
talk
right.
about that.
Especially when you're in the middle of negotiations, right? But and look, I think it may get worse with this NAR settlement also, with some of the new rules that are coming into play about commission. I mean, how are you guys supposed to, as a buyer agent, discover if there's commission even being offered on the listing, right?
Yeah.
You gotta respond.
Got to pick up the phone.
You gotta respond.
Yeah.
That's, yeah.
Okay, well, I made a note about that. We will dive into that a little bit deeper. But for today,
Sure.
My next question is for each of you: do you have a CRM that you use?
Yeah, it's called Apple Calendar.
Apple Calendar is his CRM. Okay, Tommy, do you have a CRM that you use?
Yeah, I use the company one. The one that we have at Joe Atkins Realty.
Which is
Turbo Leads.
Turbo Leads. So Joe doesn't use Turbo Leads.
I use Turbo Leads more than Joe,
No.
Okay.
And Tommy,
but he's the one that implemented it.
I will say, and that's where Tommy will give me credit. Like, I will put all the tools in place, whether I use them or not.
Right.
So that's the beauty of how our work relationships always worked. I've always told Tommy, whatever you think we as a brokerage needs for tools is fine.
But I'm not going to use
Just
it.
know that I'm not going to use all those tools.
Okay,
Right.
wait a minute. Okay, now subsequent question: do you find it detrimental to your business that you don't actually use the CRM? Do you think people fall through the cracks?
Well, of course.
They fall through the cracks without the CRM
Exactly.
too, just
I mean,
in regular day life.
Look, people are always, and that's where I think agents get caught up. People just overthink everything way too much. People get way too reliant on CRMs. Like, and that was a problem we had in Christina, my associate that works side by side with me. I tried to use the CRM with her using it basically. And she basically just said, look, it's taking me more time just trying to load all this stuff in than just using our calendar system. And because everything takes time, and we've got to the point where we have enough business where we're pretty busy or steady pretty much year round. We just don't have time to do all that extra. It's just an extra step.
It is an extra step, and you're talking to somebody who is the number one user of our CRM.
Yeah.
of the sales team. So I spend Monday. I mean, I also have a very dedicated schedule, right? I don't come out to play on Mondays. I stay at home in my home office with my hair in a bun, no makeup on, my glasses on, and I am pounding away, keeping up with things because, let's say you because you're my client, you have a new TC. Well, that's valuable information to put in the CRM and send over to the escrow officer so that we're on top of our game, right? If you have a particular closing preference, or I want to know your birthday, or what is your favorite place to play golf, or whatever it is, and then also you can't track your leads will fall through the cracks. I will stand and die on this hill because you can't keep up with your people in your database if you aren't managing when's the last time I called them, when's the last time I touched on them, when's the last time I actually saw them face to face, right? So I'll get off my soapbox about a CRM because it's not about me, it's about y'all. But you answered my question. Now, wait a minute. Let's clarify, and this is something else we should clarify up front. You have an assistant. You have an agent that works with you with your business. Is there anyone else on your team?
No, I mean, that's kind of one and the same.
Oh, they're the same person.
Yeah.
So she's your assistant, but also she's kind of like
she's a
co-agent on.
I mean, she's basically a replica of me. Okay. I trained her to be me.
Okay, and then Tommy, you have Skylar, your TV,
my replica.
Actually, Skylar is your Christina. It's the same person.
Exactly.
Skylar does exactly what she does.
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
And we have Joy at the helm, which is our transaction coordinator that ties it all together. Both Christina and Skylar submit paperwork to Joy, and Joy is who, she makes sure that the CDAs get out.
Okay, so we have Skylar, Christine, and then also a TC.
Christina.
Joy.
Christina.
Yeah, Joy, she's our mother hen.
Okay.
Yeah,
and she keeps everybody in line.
I bet her job's fun. Okay. Don't envy Joy. Okay, so you use the CRM, you do not.
Correct.
Do you find benefit in using the CRM?
Absolutely.
How so?
Well, it's pretty much like you said. It helps me to understand. Number one, it keeps people top of mind with me.
That's right.
So I can sit down, have a look, and remember their situation. I think that's the good thing about Joe. You probably remember people's situations a lot more top of mind rather than me. I definitely need to be reminded.
But he knows his
hit the
people,
table.
and you don't know your people.
This is true.
So that's a very big difference to identify.
They're more or less strangers to me.
I know my people, but I don't know their birthday. And I can't remember who I invited to X group and who I didn't, or whatever it is, or the last time I called them, right?
Do you do birthdays? I don't.
See, I don't do birthdays.
I don't do birthday stuff.
Okay.
Yeah,
if I see them on social, if I see them on Facebook.
Do you do something to surprise your clients in a way? You don't have to. It's not a requirement.
I do. I mean, I always send out holiday cards.
Okay.
I send out holiday cards.
I always have an annual.
I didn't get a holiday card. Where's my holiday card?
Yeah, to my clients. No, wait. Yes, you have in the past. Have you not?
Been a minute.
The Christmas. You did get them. It was in the past, though, right?
It's okay.
The kids were probably like this small.
Yeah, they were babies. One of them wasn't even here yet.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
All right.
Anyway, I don't want to get off topic. So let's. I think you understand the importance of the CRM, but you found a way to work around not using a CRM.
Correct.
But you still identified that you were probably dropping some potential business by not leveraging one.
I mean, I make it up.
I'm not trying to call you. I'm calling you out, but I don't mean to put you on the spot like that. So I just wanted to be clear. So let's talk about how you do maintain relationships since you don't leverage a CRM.
This is wild to me. Just how you.
I just pick up the phone.
It's organic for you.
So you're just like, hey, I was thinking about Joe today. I'm gonna call him and see what's up.
I do not unless I'm deep diving into a contract or reading through an inspection. If I don't need to be totally focused on something within a transaction, I'm on the phone.
But how do you decide who to call?
I don't know.
Okay.
I really don't. Honestly, part of it's like, I haven't talked to so-and-so in a while. Let me see what they're up to.
Okay.
And that's all I do is I call to see how people are doing.
Okay.
And people know that about me. It's actually a big joke with my friends is, yo, Joe's just going to call you. And he's gonna harass you when you don't call back.
Okay.
So,
Well, I think that is a big difference. Look, you're not unusual. You're not an unusual specimen here because you don't use a CRM and you do your business this way, right? I find more times than not that people that I'm working with, when I do a discovery meeting, I discover that they don't have a working CRM.
Right.
They don't even have an Excel spreadsheet. So
Right.
you're not unusual in that way. Tommy, how do you maintain your client relationships?
It is a lot the same way. I think the difference is where I start my day. Like, I'll start looking at their names on the CRM and then realize last time I spoke to them,
Does it organize by last contact? Our CRM does that, where I can export the roster and organize by
there's
last
different
data.
filters.
Yeah. Okay.
There's different filters that
So
I'll
you
use.
can identify when you haven't touched on someone in a while because your data's in the CRM.
Correct. Or like, honestly, a lot of the people that most everyone that I make contact with, I try to find them on Facebook. You kind of do the same thing.
Sure.
Try to find them on Facebook and then, or LinkedIn or what have you, but I don't use LinkedIn. Like, LinkedIn's just not there for me anymore.
I don't think it's for your people anyway. Your demographic.
So I try and befriend them on Facebook. I tell them to find me if I'm handing out my business cards or whatever. Find me on Facebook. Let's keep up with each other.
I'm surprised
and then
you
once
use Facebook in that way. I would assume you would be an Instagram guy.
I find that Instagram doesn't allow I find that Instagram doesn't, number one, if I'm just totally based on business, it doesn't provide leads.
No, well, I think it can, but I think your major lead source is YouTube.
My major lead source is YouTube. I've actually taken Instagram off my phone.
Okay.
I just found it far too distracting. Like, I'm looking at a bunch of stuff that has...
I just got some leads off Instagram.
Good for you. Right. Okay. But Instagram on desktop, it does allow for me to edit and upload longer videos.
Okay. Yeah.
It's just off my phone.
Got it.
But Facebook does allow for me to see when, life events are happening for, friends, family, past clients, potential new clients, customers, whatever you want to call them. And then I decide to pick up the phone off of that.
Okay. And Phoebe's getting leads off Instagram too. I think it is a really good lead source. I just had somebody do a podcast with me.
You're talking buyer seller leads? I'm sorry.
For hers, it's been connections with other realtors. Obviously we're not consumer driven, right? They don't even know what.
Right. I just had to clear that up. I was like, because our leads are different.
No, it's a lot harder for us because we're not consumer facing, right? We've got a niche market. But she's my girl, man. She's kicking it on Instagram and doing really well. And I just had a realtor on my podcast. His name is Cameron. He's with the agency in Dallas. And he was talking about TikTok being a gigantic lead source for him. So, but you have focused on YouTube and Instagram, Facebook, and your Facebook and Instagram.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Absolutely.
So the next question I've got for you guys, let's talk about how you market properties, because I think there's probably going to be some differences in here. And when Tommy and I talked yesterday, Joe, he brought up a hot sheet. What's a hot sheet?
The hot sheet. That's funny. We don't even really talk about.
Neither one of us knew what a hot sheet. Did you say you knew what a hot sheet was? Because I
learned through Joe what a hot sheet was.
What's a hot sheet?
So you're talking about the hot sheet for new listings, right?
On MLS.
On MLS, yeah. So a listing technically shows up as a new listing for 14 days.
Okay.
So that's why typically you've always seen the old school way of listing a house either on a Thursday or Friday, because that way you hit 2 weekends on the hot sheet.
Oh, interesting. Mm-hmm. Okay. Is that still a term you use today, or is that?
I mean, it's funny because nobody talks about it. So I had to make sure, because I was like, well, I know the hot sheet, but are we talking about the same hot sheet? Because nobody talks about it.
Jesse, did you know what a hot sheet was? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right. And, Tommy and I had talked, this was years ago.
It was years ago.
When he was marketing a home up here. And I was like, did you do a broker's open after tour? Like a luncheon or something?
Yeah, we all.
And he's like, what tour? And so I had to explain to him what an MLS. I know you know.
Oh yeah, I've been on lots of MLS tours.
But I guess that's the different in market segments is down south. And when I say south, pretty much probably south of George Bush.
Yeah, I would say yes.
Everything really operates a lot differently than it does
different.
north of George Bush.
And I think that is we need to actually dive into that just a hair before I ask the question, how do you market properties differently? Because anytime I've got a client that has a property down in Dallas and they're looking to market it, I'm like, who's the area rep?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or even researching properties just to gain more knowledge about, either a buyer need or, just researching properties or researching an area, right? When we're diving into an area, I just thought it was amazing. Again, it was a long time ago to hear Joe say something, bring up a term that I'd seen on page 1 of the MLS when you open it up and it's just right there front and center, hot sheets. And I would guess somewhere north of 60% of agents go everywhere else on the MLS besides clicking hot sheets.
Oh, now I'm gonna have to click on hot sheets and see what I'm missing.
Yeah, it's not just active. It also shows you.
Yeah, you see, basically it's whenever statuses change.
Okay.
You can see all of them.
Okay.
But you can also set it up to where you're just looking at specific things. So like I had one specifically that just showed me the new listings, which are, 14 days.
Sure. So Joe, why don't we I want to talk about how Dallas is set up.
Sure.
How properties are marketed in Dallas, and then I'm going to pivot over to Tommy. We're going to talk about how properties are marketed in Collin County, right? But I also want you to include different, like how you also how the boards run, and then also what you do. And I want you to talk about converse to that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Sure. Really, I just think in Dallas, I think overall there's just less agents than there are up north. So I think it's a little more cohesive as far as our communication within agents in different market segments within Dallas.
Meaning a lot of you guys already know each other and have
Yes,
relationships.
yeah.
Okay.
Where, that's one way where I was taught by my father to build my business was you need to get to know all the agents that are selling in the market you sell in.
I think it's a great idea.
And a lot of agents don't want to be friends or have working relationships with other agents because they just look at them as competition.
Yeah.
Where they're totally missing the bus because a lot of deals we get done are because the agent knows you.
Yeah, for sure.
Well,
and I think that's true also in Collin County. I mean, especially when the market was so crazy, I would hear all the time about how agents wanted to do. It could have been a deal breaker. They knew the agent on the other end of the transaction and had a good rapport, and that person had a good reputation.
I mean, that's a huge thing in our market.
Okay.
And there's a lot of word of mouth stuff that happens.
Sure.
Where you kind of get tipped off to stuff.
Sure.
Before the next person, right?
Sure.
But I think we do a lot more. We have MLS meetings.
Right. So let's talk about that. So MetroTax, are they still put on by MetroTax or
Yes.
independent of
Yeah,
MetroTax?
it's still
Okay.
MetroTax.
So MetroTax has areas in Dallas,
Yes.
right? So Park Cities is an area. Oak
Sure.
Lawn is an area. I don't know the
East
area
Dallas,
numbers.
yeah, right.
Okay. And then each one of those areas has a meeting
Yes.
once a month.
Once a month now.
Once a
Right,
month.
Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
In the morning.
Yes.
I'm jealous of that. I
miss those, actually. I miss
up
those.
north.
I know.
I mean,
Well, and
We have BDM meetings, which are just seriously not the same.
the best part about the meetings now that we're kind of past the virtual days,
right.
is you see a lot of your colleagues.
Yeah.
The various areas. I go to the East Dallas meeting or Oak Cliff or Oak Lawn. I'm seeing a lot of colleagues. And think about it, there's a lot of people you still might not have seen that often since 2020.
Sure.
And a lot of us old timers, I'm talking to Chris Hickman at an East Dallas meeting.
Love Chris.
A few months ago. And I was just laughing at it like, man, Chris, I used to see you on the reg pre-COVID. Then everything shut down, went virtual. So I said, it's so refreshing now to be in this room with you on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
Because the funny part now is that little time gap of 2-3 years where we weren't, not everything was back to like normal. The market, like when I say the market of agents has changed.
Yeah.
Because now I was like looking around the room with Chris.
Like
and
you
I'm
don't know everybody.
I don't know everybody, and we seem to be the old ones here.
Yeah.
Where I used to think I was always the younger one.
Sure.
You know? And it's funny how you had that little time lapse. And
Oh, yeah.
everything changed.
So, speaking of things changing, do they still do a physical tour of properties after the MLS
do.
meeting? So,
They do,
so
yes.
you can get your property. If you have a property for sale in East Dallas,
Yes.
you can contact the area rep and say, I want to get my property on tour.
Yes.
Meaning, people are literally getting in the car and going and physically touring this place.
Yes,
This place. It's
agents.
some of the best. I mean, I have
Love it.
Yeah, I
I've
have
seen
good
some
memories.
really cool
from
houses.
that.
Well, okay. And so on the flip side of that, Tommy, what is Collin? How do you market your properties in Collin County? Because CCR, I mean, look, I've always been told the area is too big for stuff like that, right? You can't get in your car and drive because it's a concentrated area down in
Very
Dallas.
concentrated.
And those
yeah.
areas make it even more concentrated. So you could go see 10 houses in 2 hours, less than 2 hours.
Oh, easy.
You're right.
Yeah.
Easy.
So, but you can't do that in Collin County because everything's so spread out. So, talk to us about how you're different about marketing properties than Joe.
Well, before we jump into that, I got to point out that as the techie, I will say one thing that we may be a little bit guilty about is the whole I'm going to show up to something, but I'm here strictly for my benefit. I'm going to pull you here. I'm going to get you here. Or within the frame of a transaction, I'm here to crush you in this transaction. You see what I'm saying? Like a lot of agents my age and younger, when we enter a transaction with another realtor, it's like, watch me work. I'm going to crush you in this transaction. And it's like, no, this is a co-op.
Yeah.
Like you're missing it.
Yeah.
You're,
You got to put the ego aside sometimes, right? And get to the nuts and bolts of the deal and get the deal done.
it's not like you have to cooperate. We have to be better about cooperating with other agents in order to get a deal done and make buyers and sellers happy. It's not me versus you. It's me with you,
Yes.
and let's get them to the closing table. So I got to get off the high horse there, but that's just one of the things that is a big difference in marketing properties.
How does that relate to marketing properties?
I would say once we get under, this is more
but
under
this is another
transaction.
contract close, right?
That's
so
true.
What we're focusing on is marketing your property. So talk to me about how you market your properties.
I mean, it's a lot of video, but that's no different than, it's probably more video than the dinosaurs, the seasoned agents.
Well, because the Joes of the world are going to post, just list it, and it's going to be a picture of the house with a link to the pictures on MLS or whatever their website is, right? So for you, you're going to the house and doing a tour, but you're not just doing a tour.
No, it's a lot of different
Because
videos.
I've seen tours, open house tours. And by the way, they're terrible. They're just terrible. Okay. I like the community tour to make that. I mean, we've been talking about this on the podcast lately, and I've been hearing a lot about this, is the community tour, which you are very good at. Mm-hmm. And it makes that video for that listing evergreen, right? Because anytime anybody wants to look in that area, they can go and see what you've talked about as far as the community is concerned. Make sense?
It does. So I'll extend on what you're saying. For every listing that we get, there's probably there's 5 different videos that can go out in regards to that listing.
What are the differences in say the type of video each one is?
So there's a long form YouTube video that showcases the community and the home. All right. And how we go about getting that out is not the name of the address.
That's right.
It ain't just all right, but that's a totally different topic in video. Now we're getting into
No, we're not going there, Tommy. We're wrapping it up.
Doing
so
it.
we got to stay on point here.
So there's the long form video.
Okay.
Then there's the short form video.
Okay.
All right. The short form video is going to be less than 60 seconds, and it's going to showcase really quick 3 seconds of the kitchen, 3 seconds of the exterior, the backyard, the master, and the master bath.
Okay.
And then there's 3 other videos that are specifically, they're only going to be up to 15 seconds. And these are going to be the ones that go on, be it TikTok or Instagram. And it's just going to be of the kitchen. That's it. The kitchen, call to action.
3 types of video, 3 videos that are just about the kitchen with a call to action?
No, just one video,
Okay.
kitchen, call to action. And then another video, exterior, drone in,
Got it.
drone out,
Okay.
call to action. And then another one that's going to be of some beautiful feature about the, perhaps master bath or something.
Whatever's a unique feature or something like that. Okay, love it. Okay. So next question. What's your favorite app
Ooh.
for your business? Not just like Uber Eats or something.
So you're gonna laugh. I don't remember what the name is.
It's clearly your favorite.
It is. It is. But it's a I think for an agent, it's an awesome app because a buddy of mine, realtor buddy of mine, turned me onto this when we were going to look at land that I own out in East Texas years ago. This is probably 6 years ago.
Okay.
And I was trying to figure out this land I inherited when my father passed. And I was trying to figure out, like, what's it worth, this and that. And he sells a lot of land. And so he showed me this app called Land Glide.
Land Glide.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's really cool. I think it's maybe $100 a year or something like that. But you can type in an address and it'll basically, for land, the cool thing was it'll show you like the lines of where the property lines are. And which was great for me because I was trying to figure out property lines on, just raw land in Middle East Texas. Then I realized in the city, when COVID hit, I was doing a lot of walking and talking, I like to call it. And as I was walking around my neighborhood, either with my kids or just by myself, and making phone calls. While I was walking, the cool thing is it literally will have a map, and as you go by each house, it'll show you the owner, the owner's name. You can go to the county link. So if you're just trying to deep dive into a neighborhood and figure out, that's how I realized just in my own neighborhood, there was 5 realtors that live within like 3 blocks of me just by using that app, walking by all these houses. So from an information standpoint, I think it's great. And I what I've realized is very few realtors know about it or use it.
That's really interesting because that would be incredibly helpful for our realtor friends up in Collin County and north of Grayson and all up into the Oklahoma border, because there's a ton of land deals going on right now, right? Mm-hmm. And development deals going on right now. So thank you for that. That was a good gold nugget there, Joe. I'm gonna check out Land Glide.
Yeah.
Land Glide. Tommy, what's your favorite app?
I can whittle it down to
Yeah, you're gonna have to whittle it down. I need one.
One.
You know what's funny? I went directly to one. I just couldn't remember the name.
Yeah, I know.
You just got to think about it.
He's scrolling on his phone to narrow it in. Okay.
Yeah, man. Okay, the Canva mobile app is honestly it's good, but not as good as the desktop version. I would say.
So that's not it. Okay.
I'm not a fan of Dropbox. Calendly. My Calendly app is really good.
Well, I can see where that would be of good use, especially if you're trying to book appointments from people you don't know off YouTube.
That's it.
I can see why that would be important to you. Okay.
And the fact that I'm trying to book appointments with people, like you say, strangers, and I can send them a link to send them a link that lets them just be on my calendar, a preset calendar that I put together, and they can pick a time to have a Google Meet with me.
Perfect.
Yeah,
last question.
Tommy, that's a great one.
That's a great one. Yeah. Okay, last question. We got to wrap up. So I want you to kind of keep this one short. What is the one thing you each can't live without in your business today?
Cell phone.
Drone.
Ooh, okay.
Can't do it without the drone.
Interesting.
The drone is now an integral part of my business.
That was not what I thought you were going to say.
What do you think I was going to say?
I didn't have a clue, but that wouldn't it. That would have never.
Just not that.
Not that, but that's a good one. Great place to stop for today, guys. Thank you so much for being my guest today. I got a ton of valuable information from both of you, and I think we really did a good job of distinguishing how 2 realtors can do their business incredibly differently, but also still be incredibly successful. So thank you for joining me on another episode. Again, I'm your host, Tamera Gaede. If you like my content, you're really going to love my escrow team. Give me an opportunity to talk to you about your title needs. You can reach out to me on any of my social media platforms, and make it a great day.